All right, welcome back to stage 18 of Cambridge Latin. The grammar for the stage is pretty easy. It's really just a little bit of building more on what we've talked about adjective and noun agreements. So we're not going to focus on that so much because we've really already covered everything that's already. We've already covered everything that we're expected to know for this stage. So we're just going to really continue to work on building up some of the complexities of our sentences. And we're still in Alexandria. So the stage is called Eutychus et Clemens. So let's jump into it. So this first translation right here is called Taberna. And Taberna, as you know, means a shop or a tavern. So the first sentence is Hosquam ad erbum ad venimus ego Clementi dio tabernam quaerebam. Alrighty, so what that sentence means is after we arrived at the city, I was looking for a tavern for Clemens for a long time. So everything from postquam to ad venimus is a temporal clause. Arrived, that's a perfect tense verb. Ego is a personal pronoun. Clementi is dative because he was doing it for Clemens, so it's a dative of interest. Dio is an adverb. And tabernum is the direct object of this imperfect tense verb. Tandem barbilus qui tregenta tabernas possidebat, mihi tabernam optimam abdulit. So Barbilus, who had or possessed 30 taverns, offered the best tavern to me. All right, so wow, tandem, at last, finally. So tandem's an adverb. This everything between qui and possidebit is a relative clause. It's a qui clause. Obviously, the verb's imperfect. And notice that tregenta, 30 right there, since it's a numeral, it's not declining regularly to modify this accusative plural first declension, but it does modify. So he offered obtulit, perfect tense, from obfero, the best tavern. Remember, this is superlative adjective modifying tabernum. They're both accusative singulars. And then to me. This is a personal pronoun dative, me. Haec taberna prope templum Dei isidis erat. So this temple was near the temple of the goddess Isis. So haec is a demonstrative pronoun modifying this subject, goes with erat, which is imperfect. Everything else is going to be part of a prepositional phrase, prope plus accusative, near. And then Dei is a first declension genitive. We're still getting used to the use of the genitive. It's an of case. And Isidis is third declension genitive as well. So it's Isis. And Isis is an Egyptian fertility deity, very, very close to Aphrodite / Venus in the Greco-Roman tradition, although she bears certain similarities that are closer to Persephone. She also is much closer to the Mesopotamian deity of Ashtarte, or Ishtar. Anyhow, if you want to know more about that, it'd be good to take ancient history PCE class, year 11, and then year 12. So, in hoc parte urbis via est, in qua omnes tabernarii vitrum vendunt. Okay. So in this part of the city is a street in which all the shopkeepers sell glass. So in hoc parte urbis, that's going to be a prepositional phrase and plus ablative. Hoc right there is modifying parte. Urbis is a genitive, so urbs urbis, so it's the part of the city. And via nominative est is the main verb. Then everything for the remainder of this is a relative clause. So this is describing that part of the city, right? So it's it's describing the via. So the antecedent of this relative clause, this qui clause, is via. And this is something that we haven't seen a lot of, but any relative pronoun, it's going to take, as I've mentioned before, it's going to take the gender and number of its antecedent. So qua is feminine and singular, just like weia, but its case is how it's being used in the sentence. And so in qua it's a prepositional phrase, I mean in which. So it's the location in which. So it's a prepositional phrase for the sentence that is the relative clause. It's not functioning as a subject or object, but it's still referring back to the weia. So the subject is omnes tabernari, all the shopkeepers sell, and then vitrum, the accusative direct object, is glass. And that's a present tense verb. Taberna, quam barbilus mihi offeribat, optimum situm habebat. Okay, so the shop which Barbilus was offering to me had a very good location. So we have, this is the subject of this verb, habebat, which is imperfect. Notice I translated just as had. That makes it easier for us, rather than saying was having. Situm is a situation, so it's a place. And I said not the best, but we'll just say very good. Either would be correct, though. And then we have a relative clause here that is modifying taberna, and quam is the relative pronoun. It's accusative, so it means that it's the direct object of efferebat. Barbilus is the subject, so Barbilus was offering what? He was offering which tavern, so which Barbilus was offering to me. Again, another dative personal pronoun, indirect object. Barbilus tamen dubitabat. So Barbilus, however, was doubtful. Okay, imperfect tense verb. Sunt multi latrones inquit in illa parte urbes. So there are many thieves or robbers, he said, in that part of the city. Very, very easy right there. Yeah, not really. Multi is modifying latrones. This is part of the grammar that we've talked about before, but also is the focus of this stage. This is second declension. It's modifying a third declension noun. Perfectly normal for adjectives to be of different declensions, so long as they are the same number, gender, and case. Just like illa parte. Illa is second declension, or first declension, and parte is third. Urbis is, of course, is genitive. Taronarii latrones tement. So the shopkeepers are scared of the robbers. Notice that latrones there is just the direct object of tement, but the English verb that we use is intransitive, so we have to say scared of the robbers. So the tabernare latrones tement quod pecuniam extorquent et vim inferunt. So the shopkeepers are scared of the robbers because they extort money and use force is essentially what this means. It means they are violent. They literally, inferunt means they bring in, and vim means violence. And quod is a causal clause right there. It's not referring back to any neuter noun, so therefore it has to be causal. Yeah, that's, I think the grammar is pretty cut and dry there. Latrones libertum meum interfecerunt, qui nuper illam tabernum tenebant. So the robbers killed my freedman, who recently was renting that shop. We get the word tenant from this teneo. Teneo literally means to hold. We get words like tendon from that. But we'll say it means he was holding the shop, but it means we'll just say renting the shop. Subject, direct object, possessive pronoun, perfect tense verb, third person plural. Qui right there is a relative pronoun, and it's referring back to the libertum. Notice that it's masculine and singular because libertos is masculine singular. It's nominative because it's the subject of tenebant. So who was renting that shop, demonstrative pronoun, and nuper is an adverb meaning recently. Eum in via invenimus mortuum. So we found him in the street dead. So mortuum it's in apposition to eum. You could think of it like it's modifying it as though it's an adjective. It's really, we found him in the street, and who is he? The dead person. So that would be properly speaking apposition, but think of it as modifying eum. Eum is a demonstrative pronoun from is a id. The reason you're using is a id because it's referring back to the person that was mentioned in the last sentence. So that libertus. So we found him. This is notice I said we. It's first person plural, perfect tense, in the street. Cool. We found him in the street, dead. Libertus qui senex obstinatus erat, latronibus pecuniam dare noluit. So the freedman, who was a obstinate old man, did not want to give money to the thieves, to the robbers. So we've got our subject, the libertus, main verb, complementary infinitive, the direct object of that infinitive, and then the dative that is going with that. So indirect object. Then we have this qui clause, which is referring back to libertus. So this libertus, this freedman, who was obstinatus, is second declension, modifying a third declension noun. Both are in the nominative because it's a predicate nominative. So an obstinate old man. Perfect tense, did not want to give money to the robbers. Plural dative, by the way. The latrones eum necaurunt tabernamque deripuerant. So the robbers killed him and ransacked the shop. Both perfect tense verbs. Tabernum is the direct object, deripuerant, and eum is the demonstrative pronoun, and it's the direct object of necaurunt. Latrones is the subject of both verbs. Clemens vir fortus non senex infirmus est. So Clemens is the subject. In apposition to that is describing him as a vir fortus, a strong man. Clemens, a strong man, is not a weak old man. Okay, so our main clause is Clemens non infirmus senex est. Senex is third declension and being modified by a second declension adjective, infirmus. Very cut and dry, very easy. Ego Barbello respondi. So I responded to Barbellus. Barbellus is a dative indirect object. Respondi is a perfect tense verb. Fortuna semper ei favet. Fortune always favors him. Remember that faveo is one of those verbs that takes a dative direct object, which is why we have ei there. Ei is from id, and it's referring back to Clemens because Clemens is the subject of the previous sentence. So that's why we're referring to that guy. Fortuna is the subject and semper is adverb. Also very, very key in the Roman mindset is the presence of fortune. Fortune rules all people, fortune and fate. Even the gods are subject to fortune and fate. So very, very important, especially if you go into year 12 Latin, to know about the rules and the role of fortune and fate in even the emperors, and also in the role of Aeneas when we talk about the Aeneid. So, hanc tabernum Clementi amere volo. So I want to buy this shop for Clemens. All right, so volo is a present tense verb. It takes complementary infinitive, amere. And then hanc tabernum is the accusative direct object. Hanc is demonstrative, going with tabernum. And Clementi for Clemens, you could say that it's a dative of advantage. You could also say that it's indirect object. Tibi centum arios offero. So I offer 100 gold coins to you. Notice that centum right there is modifying arios, but it's not, it doesn't look like it is in terms of that um ending, because remember, numerals do not decline regularly. And tibi is a dative indirect object. It's a personal pronoun. Placete, does it please you? The ne indicates that it's a question, and placet is an impersonal verb. Mi placet, it's pleasing to me. It pleases me. Remember that placet will take a dative because it's impersonal. Responded Barbellus, responds Barbellus, perfect tense verb. Centum arii sufficiunt. So centum arii, that means that 1,000 gold coins, 100 gold coins, it is sufficient. It suffices. The auri, centum auri is the subject of that. Notice that sufficiunt, it's the subject of sufficiunt, but we have to translate it like a passive English verb. It is sufficient, or it does suffice. In this sense, it's the translation in English doesn't totally match up one with Latin, but we'll be fine. It gets us used to that not being always one-to-one in language. Barbillo igitur centum arius tradidi. So I gave over 100 gold coins, therefore, to Barbilus. Igitur is an adverb, Barbillo is dative. All right, so that is the end of the first translation, and we will see you guys in the next translation.